Well, this afternoon in federal court, you've got the state's gun ban challenge in the Southern District on the merits. Federal judge moving forward with the case, while Northern District judges hold off on dealing with the merits, while plaintiffs there say they're preparing to file to the U.S. Supreme Court. Welcome back, Bishop on Air, with you each and every weekday morning here on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, on Rumble. So thank you guys for being here each and every weekday morning. But obviously, a lot of you come here to check out what's going on with the gun ban and the litigation against it. And if you look at the latest statistics from Illinois State Police, it shows that, well, they haven't updated it yet. The latest numbers were January 23rd, showing, 6,000 additional people on top of the nearly 30,000 have registered banned firearms with the state of Illinois. But all of this to say that the ongoing litigation in the Southern District expected to really kick off in full force very soon. Today at around 1:30, Judge Stephen McGlynn's going to hold a status conference with the litigants to get to the bottom of what kind of experts, what kind of witnesses, what kind of discovery they want as they move forward dealing with the merits of the case. In the Southern District, you've got several cases that are all lumped together, from the Illinois State Rifle Association and Herald to the Federal Firearms Licensees of Illinois to the Langley plaintiffs with attorney Thomas Magg and the Barnett plaintiffs. So you've got all of these plaintiffs groups that were put together in the Southern District, and they did get a preliminary injunction back in April of last year. That temporary pause of the law only lasted 6 days before the state of Illinois went to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals and asked them to essentially prevent that injunction from being in effect, which the state Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, the Federal Court of Appeals, granted that request. So after 6 days where the law was on pause, the appeals court said, no, the law's back on while we deal with this. And they then had the U.S. Supreme Court asked to weigh in, but the Seventh Circuit said they're putting on a rocket docket, and then they heard that, and then 4 months later, they went ahead and ruled for the state, saying on a preliminary basis, they believe the state had a likelihood of success. And that was on cases from the Southern District and the Northern District, which had different outcomes. Northern District cases said the state's going to win. Southern District case said the plaintiffs are going to win. Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals said, we'll take all these and say that the state's likely to win. But all that was on preliminary issues, not on the merits of the case. While the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals says that the state has a likelihood of success, they did not rule on the merits. So what that means is it kicks it back down to these district courts. Again, you got cases in the Northern District and cases in the Southern District. The Northern District's judges that ruled for the state on a preliminary basis have now issued a stay, meaning they're not going to address the case in the Northern District because they say the plaintiffs want to try to get the U.S. Supreme Court to intervene. In the Southern District, Judge Stephen McGlynn took a different track. Despite plaintiffs saying they wanted to put a hold on moving forward with the merits of the case so they could try to go to the U.S. Supreme Court, Judge McGlynn said, no, we're dealing with this. We're going to deal with this in an expedited fashion. So if you recall, if you look back at the library here with Bishop on Air, you'll see that we talked about and reviewed what happened in a recent scheduling conference where the plaintiffs said we want to stay. The judge is like, no, we're not doing that. We're moving forward. So don't plan on taking any vacations anytime soon. And the plaintiffs are like, well, we've got added work now. We still want to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, but now we're going to have to put together all of the briefs and everything and all the scheduling for experts and testimony and discovery in the Southern District. So today, 1:30, Judge Stephen McGlynn's going to have another scheduling conference to get a better idea of what's next. When are we going to have some witnesses? When are we going to have some experts? When are we going to get to the discovery? Let's have a trial. So this is going to be on the merits. Of course, there were multiple allegations that plaintiffs made against the law, from Second Amendment violations to Fifth Amendment violations to 14th Amendment violations of equal protection, and even the idea of the law being too vague. So all of that's in the mix, and all of the past year's history that we've tracked showing all of the different types of arguments that have been made, even down to the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules recently. While they did let the rules remain in place for the gun ban registry, they did put in an official objection which says that they object to the rules because they're not clear and therefore it's not right to move forward, but that didn't necessarily block the rules from the legislative body. However, that official objection could be used by litigants in the court case to say, look, even the state legislature, the legislative body, the bipartisan group here, even though it was all Republicans on that group that voted for the objection, and all Democrats that were there, they were shy one, voted against the objection, but the Republicans were all there, so they essentially eked out that objection. So the courts could use that objection in all of this conversation, but we'll be watching what happens there, no doubt about it. But you also got the interesting thing about the exempt classes, and this is something I think is rather fascinating. When you get down to it, yesterday we talked about the exempt classes of individuals includes not just police and retired police, active duty military when they're using firearms in official capacity, security guards, prison wardens, other jailers, they can have these firearms. I think I've even seen people say that people who do fingerprinting and locksmithing, I'll have to find that in the actual law, but those are some people who are exempt. As we talked yesterday about, also exempt filmmakers who have blank firing, quote, assault weapons for film purposes. They're exempt. Another group that is exempt is sports shooters. And this story coming from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, they put out a news release yesterday about a new deal they've got. And that new deal is with the Amateur Trap Shooting Association. They say that they've come to terms on a new deal to have the ATA Grand American work at the World Shooting and Recreational Complex in Sparta through 2036. Again, through 2036. So the Department of Natural Resources Director, Natalie Phelps-Finney, says that she's thrilled. They were able to extend the contract for another decade, so that's an additional 12 years. The ATA Grand is a premier event and an important economic driver for Randolph County in southern Illinois. It's a privilege to host the Grand at the World Shooting Complex, and we look forward to continuing our strong partnership with ATA, she said. The Grand American, the news release states, is the largest and oldest shooting event of its kind, features more than 20 events, and attracts more than 5,000 competitors and spectators from across the globe annually. The event, which is first hosted by the World Shooting Complex in 2006, has an estimated economic impact of up to $30 million. All right, well, sometimes those numbers can be a little elevated and bloated, but interesting to see that that put out there. So that's going to be from July 31st to August 10th. Again, July 31st to August 10th, and there's going to be 4 million targets that'll be thrown during the trap shooting event. So the World Shooting Complex, they, of course, are allowed to host these events. And the Department of Natural Resources managing that site for the state of Illinois. Designed for shooters, World Shooting and Recreational Complex in Sparta. But you may be asking yourself, are they able to bring what are considered banned assault weapons? Well, let's take a look at the Protect Illinois Communities Act. All right, pull that up. Got the law in front of us. Let's see if we can do a Control F and sports. And let's just do sport. We've got 8 instances of that. Let's pick some different areas here where it comes up. Different list of weapons that are banned. Here we go. Okay. So you've got some of the exemptions here. So beginning 90 days after the effective date of this amendatory act, so this would have been 90 days from last January. So what? You're talking like March 10th or so. A person authorized under this section to possess an assault weapon attachment, 50 caliber rifle or 50 caliber cartridge shall possess such items only on private property, owned or immediately controlled by the person, on private property that's not open to the public with the express permission of the person who owns or immediately controls such property, while on the premise of a licensed firearm dealer or gunsmith for the purpose of lawful repair, or while engaged in the legal use of the assault weapon attachment, 50 caliber rifle, or 50 caliber cartridge at a properly licensed firing range or sport shooting competition venue. All right, so another instance here, it says those who are exempt. Let's pull that up. Exempt as provided in subsection D, E, and F, and beginning 90 days after the effective date of this mandatory act, it's unlawful to knowingly possess a large capacity ammunition feeding device. This does not apply to persons in possession of large capacity ammunition feeding devices if a person lawfully possessed that large capacity feeding device before the effective date of this mandatory act, provided that the person shall possess such devices only on private property, not explicitly open to the public, but with express permission from the person who owns the property, while on the premise of a licensed firearms dealer or gunsmith for lawful repairs, while engaged in legal use of large capacity ammunition feeding devices or firing range or sports shooting competition venue. So it actually also does specifically spell out the World Shooting Sports Recreational Complex in Sparta. So let's pull that back up here. So again, you'll see that those exempt from the law, the section does not apply or affect to any of the following. Possession of those Olympic shooters, those who are even taking part in the World Shooting and Recreational Complex at Sparta. So possession of a weapon at an event taking place in Sparta only while engaged in the legal use of the weapon or while traveling to or from the location. That's interesting. If the weapon's broken down in a non-functioning state, is not immediately accessible, or is unloaded and enclosed in a firearm case, carrying box, shipping box, or other similar portable container designed for the safe transportation of firearms. So there you have it. Another round of exemptions there for the gun and magazine ban as we continue to see the law being challenged. So here we are in the beginning of February of 2024, and bada bing, bada boom, we continue to see the law continue to be challenged. All right, so glad to get you guys that update here on a Friday. I will try to do another update for you sometime later on this evening, especially after I get done with work. I'll try to pop back in here and let you know how that hearing went with federal judge Stephen McGlynn and getting some indication as to how we move forward with the Southern District gun and magazine ban. All right, appreciate you guys hanging out. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, comment, all of that, and helps the channel, I guess, get into the algorithm. So people who want to follow what's going on in Illinois, they can follow us here with Bishop on Air. And find me anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air. All right? Appreciate it.